we got some tea, some news popping from around the league, and it is some hot tea. Spencer Dinwiddie, this is just so great. I just love it so much. I have been thinking about it and talking about it to friends all day. Guard for the Brooklyn Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie, who also used to be a guard for the Brooklyn Nets and was traded. So Kyle Kuzma, former Laker wing champion, currently exiled in Washington with the Wizards, have officially reignited their beef. Did you see this? There's a lot to get into, right? I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to explain it. But for those who don't remember, let's give you a little backstory. So Dinwiddie and Kuz were teammates, right? For a hot second. Well, because Dinwiddie was added to the Wizards when Russell Westbrook asked to be traded, right? He was included in that 15-person trade and then moves to Washington. Dinwiddie was just coming off of ACL surgery, and the Wizards needed a point guard. And during his very short tenure, because he was traded from the Wizards to Dallas for Kristaps Porzingis, it was the Kristaps Porzingis trade. So he was there for a few months. And apparently in those few months, Dinwiddie and Kuz fucking hated each other. Pretty much did not vibe at all. Dinwiddie was traded before the season finished. And then when the Mavs played the Wizards, before Spence was later included in the Kyrie trade back to Brooklyn, Spencer decided he was going to take a low-key shot at the Wizards franchise. And, if you're in the know, took an under-the-radar shot at Kuzma. This is what he said. They're not playing for nothing for real. For them, it's just a showcase. They're over there just trying to get paid, not trying to play winning basketball. Oh, my God. Kuzma took to Twitter and then said, funny thing is the Mavs, don't play winning basketball either. Game on. Remember, Kuzma thinks he's different because he already won a ring. He thinks that whatever he's going through and doing does not apply because he's already won. So he feels like he sealed his legacy. So then Spencer Dinwiddie goes on FanDuel TV, and they're like, hey, did you see that Kuzma's comments about you? How come you didn't clap back? And he's like, yeah, I wanted to respond to that Kuzma tweet, but my agent told me to stand down, that we had bigger fish to fry, things to do, get to the playoffs. Now that I'm not in that environment, I'm in the playoffs, and he's not. Oh, boy. This, of course, was after the Nets made the 6th seed. The Wizards failed to make the play-in tournament. So then Spence took it even further and decided to say the quiet part out loud.
I'm in the playoffs. He's not. And, to address no, I'm just saying, to address the socialite, right? There's a lot of guys in the NBA that really pour their heart and soul into basketball, are willing to do whatever it takes to win. There are a lot of guys that have different things that drive them and motivate them. I think if we look at, him and the way he approaches life, fame, all that stuff, that we could see that, his priorities tend to vary, right? That's why he dressed the way he does. He, approaches basketball the way he does, the comments he makes. And like I said, with the Draymond quote, insecurity is loud. You know that you're there, shooting shots to try to get a contract. You're probably not even a third star really on a good team, because if you were, the Lakers would have kept you, right? Part of the reason you left was to try to make more money. These are all things that are facts. And so at the end of my career, one thing that I want to be known, besides a guy that did whatever it took to win in whatever spot he was at, is a guy that was also very honest. And so my complete response to, Kuz and all that other stuff, to address it directly, I played with the guy. You know what I mean? We know what the priorities were. And, a lot of times people thought I was talking about Brad or whatever, anything like that. I look at Brad in the same light as a Dame. I think he's loyal to DC. I think, probably on a championship team, he's probably got to be paired with a Giannis. He's probably 1B, which is no shot. I know on a championship team, I'm probably the third guy, kind of like a Drew Holiday with a Chris Middleton and, Giannis or whatever. I'm very secure with who I am in my career. I know on a really good team I can be a number 2, kind of like we are right here with the Brooklyn Nets. We got Mikal, we got me. We're still a playoff team. We're able to keep the ship right. But in DC, if you got 3 max dudes, Porzingis, Brad, and Kuz, how you miss the playoff? None of these things make sense. You know what I'm saying? Unless your priorities aren't in order. And so I would say that's my probably full monologue to that.
unless your priorities aren't in order. Oh my God. He absolutely ethers Kyle Kuzma in the span of 3 minutes with straight facts. So then, of course, because Kyle Kuzma didn't have a place to talk on FanDuel TV, which would have been incredible, he goes apeshit on Twitter. And he says, the Wizards and I have so much real estate on Din Shitty Island. This guy got signed by a team for $60 million and was traded before the season was over. What in the world have you won in this league? You've been bounced around like a basketball, my boy. Kuzma, you can thank Kyrie and KD for spearheading the 34 wins before the All-Star break. You're 11-13 after the break for your playoffs. Oh, you think you're a second option? More like a second point guard, my man. I watched you for 2 months at the end of your Wizards tenure, being the second option, averaging 8, 4, and 4. Sounds good, but I'm glad you're hooping now. Last but not least, the only way you'll ever be worth your contract is if the NBA finally gives you your wish of being paid in crypto. Check the markets. Downward arrow. My lord, did that escalate quickly. So, of course, today, Spence responded and he said, did you see Kuzma's tweet? The funny part about it is that there are a lot of contradictions. He resorted to name calling, din shitty, things like that, which I haven't heard since I was probably 10 years old. Things of that nature. I think at the end of the day, the biggest piece here was like a theory from 8 Mile. The way Eminem approached the final battle. If you approach it with the truth, what do you have to hide? There's nothing there, right? So that's probably the last time I'll address because I want to focus on Philly, the team, and what we're doing. But at the end of the day, I spoke truth, and I got rebutted with a 10-year-old insult. He said, what have you done in this league? If we're going to talk about my career and the things that I've done that are unique and possibly different, I led a team to the playoffs when their max players were hurt back in 2020, averaging over 20 a game. So I won a lot of games there. I've been to the Western Conference Finals with Luka and the Mavs. Been to the playoffs every year for the last 5 or 6 years. And then on top of that, I would say, people are blessed to be in situations. We don't get mad at Rick Fox for winning a championship with Kobe and Shaq. Like some people are blessed, and that's great, but we can't act like Rick Fox led them to a championship. Let's not do that. God damn. Real quick, Rick Fox and Kyle Kuzma averaged the same amount of points, 10, in the playoffs on those championship teams for the Lakers. That's incredible. So now that you're caught up, why is it like this between them? Here's what I've gathered, and here's what I believe. Spencer Dinwiddie is what I call a tree shaker. He comes to situations, and he assesses, he asks questions when things are not operating properly. The Washington Wizards do not, as you guys can see, operate properly. They don't make the playoffs. They're not a very good franchise, and they've kind of been sitting there in the middle of the doldrums for a very long time. The Wizards are not the most organized winning franchise in the NBA. Spence got there with, I think, Baby Holiday. I believe it was Justin or Aaron. I think it was Aaron Holiday. And they were like, yo, this place is fucked up. Can we all get some roles? Can we figure out what our roles are? Hey, like, I don't even care what my role is. Just, can we get one? And not in Washington, my boys. No, we don't have a winning culture here. You don't get roles. You don't get organization. You don't get direction. You just go out there and hoop. We're going to win 32 games this year, and we're going to be in the lottery, and we're going to pick up, I don't know, some random kid, Johnny Davis from Wisconsin. Kuzma didn't want roles. What did he want? Kyle Kuzma wanted to hit shots. Kyle Kuzma wanted to take shots to the tune of 25 of them a game. First, to be a fashion icon, and second, to chuck. So much that Beal and his other teammates were regularly pissed at him for ball hogging. And Rui Hachimura was supposed to be the guy, but Rui Hachimura had his own mental health issues, and they couldn't build around Rui. So what do? They said, I guess we'll take this Kuz guy. Kuz got mad at Spencer Dinwiddie, from what I can gather, did some snake stuff, started spreading rumors to the media like Kevin O'Connor. And before you knew it, Kevin O'Connor wrote, the Wizards want to move Dinwiddie because he looks like a shell of himself, and his teammates don't want him here. Holy shit, shell of himself? I am no sleuth. I am no Inspector Gadget, but it does feel like the organization and the people who were at a deficit by accountability wanted to basically get the tree shaker gone, so they besmirched his name. So the comments made from the Wizards, pretty bad. Pretty bad. Could have damaged his entire reputation. Could have cost him his career. Damn near ruined his career. If it wasn't for his time with the Dallas Mavericks, he might not have gotten a real opportunity. And I get that Spencer can sometimes say some crazy shit. And I get that he can be his own worst enemy sometimes. We all can be. He recently said he has the petty side. He takes joy in the Mavericks collapsing because he has friends on the team. And you know what? They traded him, and he didn't want to be traded. Back to Kuz. I'm not sure, though, that Kuz is an honest guy. Does Kuz want to win? Does Kuz want to get paid? Does Kuz want to be the man? Well, he recently discussed this when he was talking about free agency. Here's what he said. It's not about the money. I'm going to get paid regardless of where I go. Here in D.C. too. But it's about where I work every day and where I can be the best version of myself. AKA where I can chuck the most amount of shots that I possibly can. I can wear crazy outfits in the tunnel. And I can be the guy. So good luck, Kuz. Good luck in Detroit. Good luck in Indiana. Good luck in D.C. Good luck on a place where winning is not the first and foremost issue or priority. You'll make your money. You'll chill. You'll look good. And you'll take 18 shots a game. And here's the thing that people won't talk about is that these rivalries have two sides, right? One with the most social clout, Kuz, and Spencer Dinwiddie, who's kind of a weirdo. Everybody wants to take Kuz's side because Kuz has a huge following, yada, yada, yada. But eventually the truth comes out. And the question that I have is, if Dinwiddie was such a bad teammate and such a shell of himself, like, why would Brooklyn want him back? Why would they trade for him? Again, why would they ask for him to come back in that trade? Why would Coach Vaughn speak so highly and reverently about Dinwiddie's leadership? Why can't you find anyone in Dallas who will say anything but good things about Spencer Dinwiddie? Why is it the only place that has labeled him some sort of malcontent, some sort of cancer, some sort of shell of himself, is one of the worst franchises in modern NBA memory? Why? Like, think about it. Think about who's really at fault. Think about what's really going on. I'm telling you, if it was like San Antonio, who came out and said Spencer Dinwiddie was a cancer and he's a shell of himself, or like Miami, you'd be like, okay, I get it. When Sam Presti's out here saying, yeah, we had trouble communicating with this guy, I would sit up and listen. But when it's the Wizards, and it's Kuzma, come on now. Side eye. I'm giving you the side eye. I am skeptical. People see through it. As Barkley said, there's a reason most of the same teams are in the lottery year in and year out. It's a culture thing. And when someone comes in and tries to shake the branches and try to change the culture, that toxic culture comes for you because they don't want people who point out problems. If you point out problems, you're the problem. And now Spencer Dinwiddie gets that and hopefully has learned from that too.